Hey guys, Furum here, and today I'm going to be testing the Lamborghini Terzo Millennio in multiplayer in Asphalt 9. There's currently a special event going on for this car, and so I decided it was the perfect time to make a video about it. So I am at 3 stars, ranked 3755, with most upgrade and import parts applied except for on handling. I'm trying to save some credits here. In this first race, we've got a battle between two higher ranked VLFs. So the Terzo is an interesting car. The only other two S-Class cars that have gotten special events have been the Regera and the Chiron. So why did they choose this car in particular? I'm not entirely sure, because at 3 stars, it can only go 249 miles per hour, and none of its other stats really stand out a whole lot. Now, I'm sure this car improves quite a bit up to higher stars, but most people are not going to be able to get this car higher than 3 or 4 stars. If you have everything in the event maxed like all the Lamborghinis, you may be able to 5-star it if you have a maxed J. But what I'm trying to say is, most people are not going to be able to get this car to a rank where it can actually compete well against the Chiron and the Regera. Which makes me think that this special event and the thousands and thousands of tokens people spent on it might not have been entirely worth it. Don't get me wrong, the car is not bad, but after spending 15,000 tokens probably in order to get this car, I'm feeling sort of underwhelmed, you might say. As you can see in this race, I'm having a tough time catching up to this VLF of all cars, a car that is 10 miles per hour slower, but the VLF does have better acceleration and probably close to the same handling and nitro efficiency, but yeah, the Terzo just doesn't really stand out in any big area, which is one reason why it's kind of an average S-Class car. I would say that it fits in between the Lycan and the Fenner in the best and worst S-Class cars list, which is where we had it, and this has pretty much proved it. Thankfully, we did manage to eventually pass this VLF and come in first place in this race. However, it definitely wasn't as easy as I thought it might be. So I knew that when driving this car, I couldn't really rely on the car as much as I really had to drive quite well, just like I would have to do in any other car. So I take this route on the right here so as to not get caught up in all the people going to the left and getting knocked down, but it turned out that that was to no avail because this guy bumped me and I wrecked onto the building. I almost missed it, but yeah, that was quite annoying. He apparently wrecked on it or something too, because he also got respawned and then he landed on my front, somehow not knockdowning me. I'm not entirely sure how, but I'm very thankful he didn't, because otherwise this race would not have turned out how it did. So the decal I have on this car is not the final one, the one that the top 10 teams get for the final event, because it's not finished yet, and normally you wouldn't get any decals, at least in the previous events, before the special event was entirely finished. However, in this special event, they're giving out 3 separate decals. One for those who 2-star their Terzo, one for those who 4-star it, and one for those who, well, are in the top 10 teams in this special event. This is the decal for the 2-star Terzos, and this is the decal that you'll probably see most people with the Terzo having in multiplayer. Unfortunately, there is no purple decal, but red is not a bad color either my second or third favorite, so this'll have to do, I guess. So you know what I was saying earlier about having spent 15,000 or so tokens to get this car and being underwhelmed by it? Well, even so, I don't consider those tokens to be a waste by any means, because I didn't just get this car at 3 stars, I also was able to 5-star my Aventador SV, Egoista, and probably most importantly my Huracan Evo. So this way I can really see how the Evo does in comparison to the Apollo N on quite a few tracks, maybe find out who is the real king of B-Class, and I will probably make a video about the Evo sometime very soon, because it is a real joy to drive. It doesn't have the highest top speed, 221 or 22 miles per hour, something like that, but it has very good all other stats. Every stat about it is better than the Corvette Grand Sport, except for handling, which is still like 70 or something like that. It's just got amazing stats all around, and therefore very fun to drive and pretty nice to use for multiplayer, so I definitely look forward to testing that. Even with wrecking earlier on in the race, we've still been able to pass those VLFs and stuff, so yes, this car is definitely better than all A-Class cars, I would say, It's just not the best S-Class car, so don't expect it to be any sort of king or something like that. So we flat spin off the final ramp and finish this race in first place. By the way, all of these races are in the Classic Series. In Legend League, most of the races that I played were 2 laps, but now for a 1-lap race against a very high-ranked Fenner Supersport, above 4,100. Now, we've also got a 4-star Aventador and what I believe is a 3-star VLF. But the main car I'm worried about, obviously, is the Fenner, because that is a better car than this one, and it's at higher stars than my Terzo is. So yeah, I actually met quite a few Fenners, and I think there's one in this race, the race after it, and the race after it as well. My Fenner, which is at max, is about 20 miles per hour faster than this Terzo, and the Fenner that I'm facing in this race is not at max, so he's probably maybe 15 to 18-ish miles per hour faster to me. But he wrecked here, yes, he was the car that took the route on the right. That is one reason why I don't take that way, because it is definitely more risky than going to the left. And really, I don't know if it's faster. Some people say it is, but I've always gone to the left, and sometimes I've passed people who have gone to the right. I would just say that the left route is definitely safer. Speaking of safe, I knew I could not make that barrel roll, so I just decided to skip it. Far too many times I have gone for a barrel roll late when I shouldn't have, and it's gone very badly because it's put me on my top or something horrible like that. So I've learned most of the time when and when not to actually go for barrel rolls, because it's a lot better to lose 1/10 of a second by not going up a barrel roll than losing 3 seconds by going up it and landing on your top. Here we beat that Fenner, but in this race we are facing another Legions United member who is in another Fenner, so this should be very interesting. Now, this race sort of shows what sort of knockdown magnet I am, I guess, especially when I'm playing with cars such as this one. An abnormal amount of people seem to try to 360 me when I'm driving very good cars, which I guess sort of makes sense, but it's kind of annoying as well, as you might expect. But while the Terzo is not some overpowered beast, it definitely still has good capabilities for catching up and winning races. So this car ahead of me here is a VLF, which I am faster than by about 10-ish miles per hour. So I shockwave up to him, and then he 360s me when I'm right behind him and knocks me down. So I'm back into 4th place, but I'm glad I did not decide to quit. And in any case, it is a 2-lap race, as are most of the Legend League races, so there's really no point quitting if you get knocked down at the beginning of a 2-lap race, especially if you're in a car that is fast and that might be able to catch up to the others. Like here, there are 3 cars pretty far ahead of me. I knew the Fenner was quite a bit faster than me, and thus I probably would not be able to catch up to him, but I definitely had a chance with the other 2 cars because I knew they weren't as fast as me. And I was going to try especially hard to catch up to this VLF and beat him, because it's especially satisfying if somebody knocks you down at the beginning of a race and then you just kind of pass them and beat them, and so it didn't really matter after all. So you guys may remember, in one of my previous yet recent Asphalt 9 videos, I was saying that there was something that had been leaked about a Genti Aculone special event. Well, that was apparently fake, and it wouldn't have been what I expected anyway, because if you go to the thing that is usually in place of special event, you know, in the menu at the beginning of the game, it will usually show you a car that there are blueprints for in the Legend store and say, oh, go buy this now, or something like that. But when there are no blueprints for cars in the Legend store, instead it will say upcoming release. Now, for a long time it said Sharon upcoming release, and then we got the Sharon special event. But now when that happens, it says upcoming release, and it shows the Zenvo. So I think that's a pretty good indication that we're going to see the Zenvo as our next special event. When will it come? I have no idea, but definitely save up your tokens, because I can imagine that that car, possibly even being better than the Terzo, it's gonna have a pretty difficult special event. And usually when these special events come out, it's best to have at least 10,000 tokens if you're going to be able to star the car up much. Of course, I know that not everybody can do this, which is why these special events are a bit ridiculous, but that's how they are right now, so definitely save up your tokens. Here we come in second, but the other Legions United member comes in first, so LU power. Now for our final race in the video, which is a 2-lap race on Shen City. Now for my general review about this car. It appears to me to sit at the bottom of the top half of S-Class cars, if that makes sense, being nowhere near as good as the Sharon or Regera, but definitely being better than, say, the Egoista and the Icona and cars like that. Now, that is especially at higher stars. If you only have it 1 or 2 stars, Honestly, I wasn't too impressed with it at all at 2 stars, so I would say that a 3-star car like you have here is definitely going to be doing some good work. A 2-star one, maybe not quite so much, but definitely if you've got it, don't worry, it's still a decent car. It's just not some overpowered beast like a lot of people were thinking it was. Now, if you did not manage to get this car, continue saving up your tokens. Because unless the Zenvo has some horrendous quality of some sort, I don't know what it would be exactly, based on its stats, it looks to be like a Fenner with worse nitro efficiency, which definitely could be interesting and probably a pretty nice car. So definitely save up for that if you didn't get this car. But really, if you already have the Chiron and the Regera, you wouldn't even need to go for either of them, because both of those cars are better than both of these. However, previous cars are often used in later events, so I would be a bit more wary than usual of skipping things for that reason. For Class S, the Terzo has average top speed, average acceleration, average handling and drifting, and average nitro efficiency. It's a very average S-Class car all around, pretty fun to drive. You know, it's kind of like the 488 GTB of S-Class or something like that. Not a car that you'd particularly take out because it's got some great qualities, but just because it's a decent car in general. And at the end of this very close race, we managed to come in first ahead of this Fenner. Thank you all for watching. Please like the video if you've enjoyed, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt 9 and Forza content. And I will see you in my next video. Goodbye!